And that focus on the youth that you have and that passion that you have towards young people, because I guess it's that thing where we have to invest in you know educate our young people to an extent where the goal, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that they're able to stand on their own 2 feet. Would that be the reason why, or the purpose why you do so much work for the young people?
Not just to stand on their own 2 feet, but to make sure that, the next few generations wouldn't have to put that kind of effort just to get up on their feet. You know what I'm saying? We have not been given enough time to spend knowledge because we were not stabilized 2-3 generations ago. If our generations were politically and financially stable, we would have been a lot more knowledgeable. We are too busy in trying to make ends meet.
A lot more advanced as well.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And I mean, that's just an add-on advancement and progress and growth. I mean, most of the Muslim nations are literally on the brink of survival.
Yeah.
So we need to have that sort of competence in any field that we jump into so that, our kids, or ideally us, would be giving our kids enough time to just stay inside the books and libraries. But I know why would they? Because, man's gotta eat, and they gotta feed their families. So that's what I said yesterday to people in Glasgow here as well. That you want to 2 jobs, 3 jobs, it's okay, just do them, but make sure you do them really well. Because I need one generation sacrifice their time and effort and blood, sweat, and money, so that the next one wouldn't. And I wouldn't want any generation to have that sort of a dilemma to face. But now we are in that sort of a situation. So if you're migrating to Western countries, then you gotta know what the price is. And the price is you. One full generation has to, go through the wall, and the first man through the wall is gonna be bloody. And I respect, and I think that's very honorable that, we migrate and, we spend enough time and we sacrifice ourselves, our time and our luxury, but our kids would actually grow and prosper into, stronger, more competent people who would really know what they're talking about, and they would substantiate any kind of claim that they make as a Muslim. Right now, Muslim kids, they talk, they write, they argue, but there's no substance behind them because they're not putting enough time into, doing their homework. So I don't like Muslim kids as teenagers having to work to feed their families. That's not why you migrated. Okay, that's not the purpose of migration. And even if you are, but that should be the end of it. You know what I'm saying? So go immerse yourself fully.
True that. And also in regards to young people as well, one of the things that people come to, and I'm sure yesterday's event was about the thing at home for young people. How should the parents be, in terms of in that process of bringing up the young person in their home? What do you think is the main element or the main factor they should bring into consideration when it comes to bringing up young people, especially in that youth early intervention? Is it time? Because we always talk about quality time with your children. But on one hand, you're saying it's fine to go to a job, do this, but how does that balance out?
No, I'm talking about men here. Well, the first 7-8 years, see, the Muslim woman is gifted that the divine literature is not forcing her to move around and just make ends meet. That's the gift of a Muslim woman. Because we now know through common sense that we need a dedicated mother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the Quran is forcing a dedicated motherhood. And that's twice the responsibility on the man. That if he needs his child to have a dedicated mother, and no one else can actually do the job because only a biological mother will be able to do that. No nannies and no daycares are going to suffer for this sort of. So if you need a child to grow, you need a dedicated mother for that child to grow really well.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm saying, you want to invest fully. You got to do 2 or 3 jobs. It's all right. That's the price you got to pay for that child to actually have that sort of a nurse, that sort of a facilitator, that sort of an administrator as a mother. Now I know that ideally it shouldn't be. But that's the kind of situation we're in right now. In ideal situations, there should be a father, mother, and the triangle should be complete, where there's nurturing, development, growth. The whole IQ should be built by both the parents. Well, we can't even talk about these sort of things inside the Muslim-dominated areas, let alone where they're immigrants and they're trying to survive. So try and understand, as a man, you're not just going to have babies. You're going to have a very clear model as to how to give that child a dedicated mother. For that, telling you need to do twice the job. A literal job, like 2 jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's that sort of a decision. If you want to make that decision, take the plunge. Okay, apply for that immigration. Otherwise, the priority is the children. Yeah. The next generation is the priority, regardless of whether you're in Glasgow or Islamabad or Delhi. Your job is to make sure that the next generation is fully competent and he's got enough IQ and enough EQ, and that can only be given by both the parents. Either one of them will be able to, do the job properly. So this is more of a, one first filial dilemma which any immigration or diaspora is going to suffer or experience.
Yeah. And it's that thing, and I'm sure you get this again a lot, Sahil, in terms of, everything's in place at home. Mum's playing her role, father's playing their role, but you've also got the environment that they live in. So that's always a big factor in that as well, because they're spending 8-9 hours at schools, education, they're spending a few hours maybe here, there. So there's, and obviously social media and various other factors. So, there's a lot of things that go into play there. So what advice would you give in terms of parents, looking at that? They can do everything they can. And it's that other thing also, sorry, just to add on to that, is like, one child's absolutely fine. Then the next child, son 2 or son 3 or daughter 1 or daughter 2 is a different ball game altogether.
Yeah, it's like a totally different breed.
So, what would you say to that?
Well, that's something which, it's called the curse of ignorance in psychology. Most people don't even know what they're going to go into when they're going to go into this, because this invisible enemy, comes from the cell phones. The school system itself is designed around building philosophies. You just don't see it, so we can't estimate the damage. That's one more reason why you, as a man, should really know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah. Okay, because now there is no help. There is no help, and most of the Muslim women are not equipped to tackle the pressure, the whole education system, the new laws and policies, the whole wave of public policy is going to. We haven't even experienced the worst yet, and we can't even tackle the first wave of the big problems that we as our kids are facing. They're asking real questions because they're getting those kind of thought processes developed inside schools and classmates and whatnot. So, can we quarantine? No, we cannot quarantine our kids. No, it's not possible. It's a conscious choice you make. No, the fact that if people didn't even know what that choice was, that's the real problem. That man is the enemy. He didn't even know what he was getting his kids into. So, people who know what the problem is and then they still are making that conscious choice, then, they better understand how to, develop 3 times a Muslim inside a single child. Because he would need that sort of a skin, that sort of a guard, so that he could take the blow. And not just take the blow, but tackle it really well. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to survive, because he can't just say, Allahu Akbar, and solve a problem. People will be like, we need solid arguments, buddy. Yeah. And it's not just the fact that you have real arguments. You need a really well-structured political strategy to actually create a public policy, or influence a public policy, let alone create one. And so it's not just in Glasgow, it's in Toronto, it's in New York, it's in in South America, it's in Pakistan and India as well. So you need that sort of competence from a father, particularly. The burden is on the man, so that he is going to make a decision whether he wants this sort of a family unit. And where do you want that family unit? Okay, and it's not just the Scottish policy or the influence of the West on Scotland, or vice versa. It is the man's influence on his own, kids, and that's something which is not just going to come through books. You can't just load your child with books. You read them, otherwise they're going to take you. It's not. That's not how it works. You're going to have to build so much competence, and quite frankly, here's the irony. The irony is that even if you were in dead center Saudi Arab, Mecca, you would still have to have this sort of an exposure to a child, which a regular Glasgow child is going through or is receiving from school or the environment, so that the Muslim mind is developed to counter these sort of things for the future.
Yeah.
You can't just hide our kids in, Islamabadi basements and think, what, everything's going to be fine. Nothing's going to be fine. This tide starts from here, and it becomes a big snowball and comes down to India, Pakistan. In the next 20, 30 years, our kids will be literally not even aware of how non-Muslim the thought process is at the base. So I think there's more potential in conscious Muslims living in the West, so that they tackle the first wave, tell us how it felt, what's the damage, so that we can actually raise babies with thicker skin and better IQ and some more deeper arguments and well-structured thought, because this is you're the first row facing the wind.
Do you think that we can with our children? Do you think we're overprotective? Monoculture too much?
No. You see, as a Muslim woman and any minority is overprotective. It's not just the Muslim in the West. Will, of course, there are just 4 million Muslims in England.
Yeah.
No, they have to be overprotective because the immigrants are naturally a little more superstitious than the regular Joe. Yeah. So they're going to be 10 times more overprotective. You see helicopter moms of philosophy as well. It's like, why did you say that, or why are you thinking on those lines? Even the child isn't even, she's actually putting bad ideas in the children. So it's natural. But I see how kids are immune to not being Muslims by their thought, immune literally, versus the overprotective parents, and that's the bigger problem.
Yeah.
If you're so overprotective and still your kids are, atheistically driving their lives in little micro decisions, then what's the point of being that overprotective? Superstition is not going to get you anything.
No.
And literally, if anything, it's going to get your kids farther away from your own philosophy, because you're not backing it up by logic and deeper processed thought. So I think it's twice the responsibility, and the way we've structured the concept of Islam, I'll tell you, that's the problem. The way we've structured Islam as a concept and presenting it to the child, he's not so wrong when he says this is not going to solve any of my problems. Okay, you need to change the way you look at it.
That was kind of going to be my next question, was about that relationship that children develop, and we all develop. And our experience that we have with Islam is usually through a masjid or a mosque. And I'm probably getting into trouble for this question, but do you think the mosques are playing their roles?
Well, we better get in trouble for this, because we got to set the record straight. I think the masjid is the cause. The current definition of the way masjid is structured is the cause.
Okay.
See, masjid is
structure in the sense of,
well, they have divorced politics. Like literally, they have literally made sure that the child, and you know what? No one else has divorced politics. The child is not divorced politics. He's going to be affected one way or the other,
sure.
And he's naturally going to have to bow down to the power of wherever he is, be it Jeddah or Glasgow. And politics is politics. That is why we are designed to be in politics. Rather, we are designed to take the power and exert it. For the better good as well. I mean, so it's not that, it's anti-Islam. It is pure Islam, and we actually go towards the power because we are the only people who can handle it, because we have a book backing it up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're not going to take it, don't blame anybody else taking over and just using it on you. I mean, that's just natural. It is, It is just simple math, and kids are doing that math, and mommies and daddies are not. Masjid is not. If anything, but just like, you know what, and you know what, I don't really understand. I can understand if the Arabian countries are letting their kids not. I mean, they're forcing the kids not to be, but in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? The masjid in England and in Scotland should have been 10 times more active. I mean, it's not like you're living under a Muslim ruler, Ulul Amr. It's like, it's going to be khuruj. This is democracy. You have to play with the instruments they're giving you. And Victoria, I think, has given Muslims the biggest gift. She established a platform of 100 years, really well placed it, and set a lot of things right. That gave enough sense to anybody who's born and raised here to understand how power works, how the power structures itself, and where are the power structures, how to use those. It's like a chess player.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm way more hopeful for Muslim kids overseas in the Western countries than kids who are growing up in the Arabian and the Desi lands.
In some countries,
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, with that in terms of